Hello and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Show podcast. Everything. I am Adam Zdroik back for Monday's showdown at DraftKings between Newcastle and Arsenal. Yes, happy Monday. Hopefully you had a successful DFS weekend. My weekend, it was, it could have been more successful. I ignored my own advice. But we had the double goalkeepers in Saturday's FA Cup final. I think that one won the main contest in that. And then if you watched our Sunday show, I was all about the Wolves fade, and for some reason, the final spot in my lineups, I went to Wolves guys. I went to Raul in one of my lineups. I went to Yi Chang in my in another lineup, and I went against my own advice, and it didn't work. So hopefully, I can go with my own advice this week as we have the final week of league season. Bundesliga just ended, Premier League, final week of Premier League. Then we got Champions League, and we're going to have full on content in the next 2 weeks. But for Monday slate, Arsenal, 1.70 implied goal total. Seems pretty heavy. 55% win percentage. And then Newcastle, 1.11. Lineups, we have some questions with the lineups, and that makes it kind of hard to talk about, but I'm going to try and talk in basics, I guess, generalities maybe a little bit. We'll see once we get into it, but we have questions in Arsenal's back line. We could see Tomiyasu playing center back, which isn't unfamiliar. I think he's played right back pretty much every start for Arsenal since coming over from Bologna, but last season in Serie A, he did play at center back, and he's played at center back throughout his career. So that wouldn't be crazy. See him back there. We don't know how healthy Ben White is, so we'll see with that. We'll see if Gabriel can come in. One of those guys, if neither of them can play center back, they may not have any true center backs available. So that may change formations. We'll see how that looks. But as we see right now, we got Tomiyasu center, Nuno Tavares, and Zdroik at fullback. Otherwise, everything pretty similar to what we've seen from Arsenal. Newcastle also have some questions. We could see Callum Wilson back in the starting 11. He came off the bench last match. Same thing with Trippier. Are these guys ready to start? I don't know, but they could be. Both of them came off the bench. So there is a slight chance, I'd say it's 50-50, that both those guys are in there. And that's going to change builds. It's going to change how this match goes. It's going to change set pieces. It's going to change a little bit of everything. So might as well get into it here for cash games. But actually, I do want to point out, so when I talked about, it must have been the North London Derby last week, that the home team dominated, and you can't always ignore matchups like that, recent matchup information. And same with this one, where you have Arsenal have dominated Newcastle the last 10 years, really. If you watch Kits and Wagers, we gave this stat out, but Arsenal have won pretty much every match since 2010 except for two. Arsenal have not allowed a goal in the last 7 matchups between these teams. They've won the last 8, and it's just a bunch of wind and nils for Arsenal since 2018, really. And Newcastle won 2018. And then you got to go all the way back to 2010 and the last time Newcastle won in this matchup. So it's been domination, really. And can you ignore that? Maybe. You could ignore that. But, I mean, we've seen a lot of times, you see like club against club. Sometimes this is kind of built into the way the teams play, the way their mentality is, kind of a thing. That, sometimes, sure, Newcastle could win. They don't have as many injuries, that kind of a thing. But look at the prior matchup earlier in the season. I believe it was Eddie Howe's first loss at Newcastle, and Arsenal kind of dominated. It wasn't really the same Newcastle team. They're still figuring things out under Eddie Howe, and obviously they didn't bring in any of their new players that they currently have. So otherwise, Arsenal 2.79 expected goal totals in that match, 24 shots compared to 9 shots for Newcastle. Again, not a like-for-like comparison, because now we have these Arsenal injuries. Now Newcastle has guys like Bruno playing in the midfield. So a couple different things from that matchup. That was in November. So you got that in there. And then just in terms of some notable stats, as we get into some Dubravka talk here. Arsenal have forced the third most saves in the league, which is pretty relevant given that they're right behind Liverpool and Manchester City in terms of forced saves, but they're not right behind them in terms of goals scored. So that's a bonus right there for Dubravka. And the other stat was that I think Arsenal are allow the third fewest corners in the league. So if you're going to play for corners, keep that in mind. So let's get into it. So cash games here. Saka 16.8k, probably. I guess I don't want to say the safest. So I guess I'll talk about this, assuming this first one I'll talk about with Trippier not in the starting 11. So let's just assume that it's Target and someone like Emil Kraft starting at fullback for Newcastle. If that's the case, Saka may be the most popular captain because I think Arsenal only had 2 corners last match. I think he took both of them, but Cedric did not take any corners. It seems like Cedric is either going to take corners or he's not going to take corners, and we don't know when he's going to take corners. If he doesn't take corners, his floor can be down to something like 3 points. So not the safest cash option, I guess you could say. So that's kind of why I think Saka will be. Saka's already going to get his stuff from open play, and then if you throw in set pieces, I think he's just the safest guy. He is most expensive, but he's the safest guy on this slate, and you don't know what else you're going to get here. I mean, you could go down to a Target here. This is without Trippier in the lineup. You could go to Target, getting a start, and that's okay. But as I said, Arsenal don't force a ton of corners, and when you take that into account with Target, who doesn't have a ton of open play value, that kind of makes it a little risky. I mean, Target's almost in the same range as Cedric, really, except maybe he's going to have 2 to 4 corners, that kind of thing. So you could see some Target captainship. We'll see, but I think my preferred option right now is Saka because it's not like you need these other guys in cash games. Like the other guys up here, Smith Rowe, if he starts, you got Martinelli, Nketiah, Odegaard, Bruno Guimaraes. Like you have these guys up here that you don't really need in cash games. So I mentioned this last slate. I'm going for this right now. I'm talking this cash build. I'm doing the Ceramac route, going double goalkeeper. That's what he did. That's what he's been doing for I don't know how long, but at least the last month because I've been really looking at his lineup since I've started doing these solo shows, and he does a ton of double goalkeepers in Showdown. That clearly won over the weekend, but in terms of this matchup, we have the possibility of saves for Dubravka. I already mentioned that Arsenal forced the third most amount of saves in the league. And I mean, you look at Dubravka, made 13 saves the last 2 matches. Okay, you're not going to count on 9 saves here, but I mean, for the most part, like you look at the prior games, it's like 2 saves, 1 save, but I mean, some of those match up, home games against Crystal Palace, a rotated Leicester team, home against Wolves. Like, it's not really the same situation as Arsenal, who need 3 points, who are basically going to be pushing all game. So I think the saves will be there. I mean, we look at the prior matchup, 4 saves for Dubravka in that first one, 2-0 loss. So, I mean, if you get another repeat result, 2 goals allowed, 4 saves, that's fine. That's fine out of Dubravka. That's kind of, I mean, you're spending down for him and you're just getting points. And that's kind of what you want. But you also have the upside where maybe Arsenal only get 1 goal, or maybe they don't score. But Dubravka makes 5+ saves. We saw in that Liverpool game against a better team. I mean, I know Newcastle have a pretty good solid run going, especially at home. Like they have, like I mentioned, Crystal Palace, Leicester, Wolves, Brighton. They got all these home wins, but for the most part, it's not like they outplayed the other team in those situations. Those matches are pretty even. It's just Newcastle. They found a way to get a goal early, or maybe go get a goal late, and then just hold on to the lead. As for that Liverpool match, they're clearly out talented, and they gave up an early goal, but they couldn't really do anything with it. Now Arsenal, one of the better teams I've seen at home since, I don't know, Manchester United back in December, I guess. It hasn't been the most difficult stretch of home matches for Newcastle because they played all the top teams early in the season. So I do have my doubts about what Newcastle can do here, especially, I mean, they're not going to have. I mean, Shelby's not playing, but we'll probably see Sean Longstaff in the midfield again. So we'll see what happens with that, though. Yeah, I guess that's right. Okay, so yeah, in terms of Ramsdale, I don't think as safe, but as I said earlier about the clean sheets in this matchup, Ramsdale, you got the winning clean sheet. You got that possibility here. And then, I mean, his numbers, his save numbers probably aren't going to be as good. Can't really rely on that kind of a thing. But otherwise, I mean, you're going down here. I guess Ramsdale is kind of expensive on the slate, so I wouldn't say he's a must. I guess you're kind of looking at Ramsdale or Bruno Guimaraes in this range. So just for sake of this, let's just do Saka, Dubravka, Ramsdale. Let's try and match Saramek because what's wrong with matching the best DFS soccer player in the game? So we got that. Do you want Cedric in here? I guess this one is assuming Target is starting and Trippier is not starting. So let's get Target in there. Hopefully there's some set pieces in there. And you want Cedric, maybe. I actually think St. Maximin is a pretty good cash play. I can't remember the last time I actually thought that, but St. Maximin is kind of cheap on the slate. But the way he plays, he draws fouls. He's always dribbling the ball. And that's kind of what Arsenal had a problem with last week against Son. Son was quick, drawing fouls. He led to that early red card. St. Maximin's kind of in that same mold where he's going to get the ball and he's going to try and do probably too much on his own. But sometimes it's good for fantasy. And sometimes, going against a back line that maybe hasn't played together all season, I think that's going to be problemsome in this game. So, I mean, you look at St. Maximin's floor in the previous game, 3.3 points, nothing really. I mean, overall, his floor hasn't really been much. You got the 9.6 against Man City last match. Sometimes it's 7-8 range, and it's really hit or miss. But I think just in terms of this matchup, I think it's not the worst thing. Like if you're in that range and Trippier's not starting and that kind of thing, like I think St. Maximin is a fine cash play here. But in GBP, yeah, he's also a good GBP play. But I'm just saying for cash games here. So otherwise, like Tomiyasu, who plays center back, even actually, I'm just out on Tomiyasu in general. I just don't think there's a reason to play him, no matter what his position is. So we're looking down at Chaka. Chaka is not the worst cash option, even though, he's coming off a yellow card, but he's still, 4 points in that loss to Tottenham. It seems like he's taking a shot from distance every match. He's getting some shots assisted. He's getting defensive stats in there. He's not terrible. And like the other comparisons in this range are, I guess, Almiron, who I probably wouldn't want. You got the Chris Wood situation. And then do you want Callum Wilson if he starts? Do you want one of the forwards if they start? I'm going to say no. You probably don't want one of the forwards in cash games. I'm not saying they're not going to be popular because we have here Callum Wilson, 4K, and he's plus 175 to score. That's the second best odds to score of this in the slate of the projected starters. The thing is, if Callum Wilson starts, he's not ready for a full 90. He's just coming back from a long-term injury. So there's a chance it's like Callum Wilson plays 60 minutes. Do you want Callum? Okay, he's 4K, but do you want the Callum Wilson floor of maybe like 1 point from 60 minutes? And especially in cash games, do you want that? Probably not. The same goes for Wood. Wood, it'd be the opposite situation. Maybe he gets 60 points and then Wilson comes on for him. So you want these guys? They are pretty cheap, but it's not like the cash move. Otherwise, you got center backs. You got that's kind of it. My guy El Neni is also down here. If you're, I feel like I've mentioned him less. Few Arsenal slates. He's down here at 4,000. Again, nothing special. Probably just a smidge below what Chaka can provide, but he's 4K, and whereas Chaka is 5K. So if you need to save the money, that's fine. But I mean, you don't even when you go Saka captain, it's not like you're not losing on much of anything else. Maybe like sure you're losing on like Nketiah if he gets like a brace or something. He's plus 145. It's still not good enough odds. I don't think in terms of cash games that you want him in your lineup, especially as possibly the second most expensive player. So you got a pretty wide range here. And I think Saka will be popular just because those guys at the high end aren't really needed in cash games. And we'll see what happens with Trippier. So going back to Trippier, just in cash games here, Trippier is 10.5K, and that's kind of what like almost like the Andrew Robertson range. So it's kind of the same situation in Callum Wilson, but he hasn't been out as long as Callum Wilson. So if he starts, I think there's a chance he goes a full 90. So I do think Trippier should be considered in cash games for captain. That's what I'm getting at when I say there's two different builds that you want to have for cash games if Trippier starts or if it's Emil Kraft playing it right back. So with Trippier, then you just plug Saka in, but that's just going to allow you a little more money in this lineup. Maybe you can get Bruno in, hope for a ton of defensive stats. Hopefully he gets there. You can, fit Odegaard in, kind of a thing. And I mean, this is still with Saka. So I just think Trippier is much easier to trust than Target. Just Target, his open play value just really hasn't been there for Newcastle. I mean, you look at his floor down here on the cheat sheet here, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 10-day trial, no credit card required. But you look at the cheat sheet, Trippier's floor, reaching almost 12 points here at DraftKings. Target's floor is actually less than St. Maximin. I think that kind of says it all right there. Just Target, he's only getting corners. What is that? Is that enough? Are Newcastle going to get 5+ corners in this game? Maybe, but then even then, it's if Trippier doesn't start, he's probably going to come out in the second half. At that point, he'll be taking corners. There's also a chance Ryan Fraser's back from injury, so he'll be coming off the bench too. So there's a chance Target only has 60 minutes of corners, even if Fraser and Trippier don't start. So just keep that in mind. Before we get into terms, we got some questions here. Someone's calling for Wilson and Trippier going for goals. Yeah, Callum Wilson's floor is better than Woods. I do agree with that, but I don't think Wilson can go full 90 right now. He's been out 4 months or something. So okay, he did. Ash, the comment is saying that Eddie Howe has said that Wilson is doing better fitness wise than Trippier. So we'll see who starts, but I guess in terms of that, I'm not sure either one will be ready for a full 90. We'll see. We'll see what he wants to do. Will he want to start those two guys and have him not go 90? We'll see. Either way, I mean, I did say I'm fine with Captain Trippier, but if he's not up to the same as where Callum Wilson is fitness-wise, maybe that leaves some doubt in there. But all right, let's look at some tournaments here. So Saka, we got the goal scorers. I mean, we could put a lineup together with Callum Wilson or Chris Wood, that stuff. Almiron, we could be looking there. So let's see what the difference is of getting. I mean, I just did one with Saka. So if you want to spend down, let's just see what a Dubravka lineup looks like and see what we can do here. So let's get Saka in, and you definitely want Odegaard just in terms of you want the Odegaard, the set pieces from 25 to 30 yards out, where he scores maybe 1 in 30 of those, but he always gets like a shot on goal, pretty easy save. So let's get those Odegaard saves in there. So what else we want with this? For the sake of this, let's just say Trippier starting. So throw Trippier in here, and then you want the goal scorer. So that's where the question comes in. Maybe we should plug in St. Maximin here. We still got 7K left. So in this range, we could go with a clean sheet with Target, Newcastle clean sheet, or go on the other side, hope that maybe St. Maximin gets the early goal, and then Cedric is on set pieces late in the match for some reason, and then he has one of his 15 cross games. It's in range, but I mean, this is just a Dubravka lineup with the Arsenal set piece takers, and then hoping St. Maximin is the guy that gets the goal. Or again, you can obviously use either of the forwards, Almiron, Wilson, Wood in this lineup. I mean, you can use those guys in any lineup. So I think your main decision in tournaments will be: do you want one of those? Do you want the Callum Wilson in your team? Let's captain Callum Wilson, see what we can come up with this lineup. So if you get Callum Wilson in here, let's just plug Bruno in because you're obviously pretty high on Newcastle. Um, Still, I'm auto plugging in Saka in this one. He'll be the most popular player in this slate. But I mean, let's say this matchup is like these recent Arsenal ones where there's goals. You know, they just lost 3-0 to Tottenham, but you know, red card was involved. But I can't remember last time they had a clean sheet. It's been a while. Last time they had a away clean sheet was at Aston Villa. Again, that was prior to their injuries they have. So we got Callum Wilson, we got Bruno, we got Saka. For the sake of this, let's just do Nketiah here. Let's get this Nketiah goal. He's been there most likely to score. And you know, you want goals. If you're going for a goal, a matchup with goals, here you go. And still, because of Callum Wilson, captain, you got Bruno, you got Saka, you got Nketiah. You still got 14K left. So, I mean, you could be in this range. You could be Saint Maximin. You could go down. You could go with Dubravka, so you can go higher up with a. I mean, you could do double goalkeepers actually right here if you really wanted to. But again, I mean, this is the Callum Wilson captain, so you're playing for that Callum Wilson goal. So double goalkeeper probably won't work. But yeah, I mean, Martinelli, Odegaard. If you want more Newcastle guys, St. Maximin, you can get St. Maximin, more target. So you got a pretty wide range with Callum Wilson captain. Again, a lot of this depends on what the starting 11s look like. We'll see what this Arsenal back line looks like. We'll see who starts for Newcastle. I think that's going to decide how a lot of these builds go. But I think I'm sticking with, you know, for cash games, Saka, most expensive guy, probably most popular, but I think it's the best move just because he's the safest. You know what you're getting. And then, hey, double goalkeepers, go with that. You know, if you just want to build your lineup off of the recent results, the recent, you know, Arsenal domination, I think, what I say, 7 straight win to nils for Arsenal in this matchup, maybe 6 straight. I mean, why not just go, instead of going with one of the forwards, why not just go with the win clean sheet for Ramsdale, get that in there, and then you get Nketiah, and you plug another one of the high end Arsenal guys in there, and then, you know, do whatever you want. So I mean, you could still put Dubravka in this lineup. It's not like you're playing for a 4-0 Arsenal kind of win. So yeah, I mean, if you go a couple forwards in this lineup, you may not be down to El Neni or Chaka, but hey, why can't those guys score? But yeah, so depends how you want to play this matchup. We got 1.70 implied goal total, 1.11 for Newcastle. I think that my personal implied goal total here, I'd say it's closer to 1.5 for Arsenal, and then 1 for Newcastle, I guess. I think I kind of like the under in this one, but we'll see what the lineups look like. And yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, it's just hard because these recent Arsenal matches, there's just been goals in them because they just haven't been able to get the clean sheets. And then when you consider even more injuries on their back line, are they going to be able to get a clean sheet in this spot? It's not like Newcastle are getting wins, but it's not like they're dominating these matches. It's not like they're producing a ton of opportunities, having a lot of shots on target, that kind of thing. So there's a couple ways of looking at this match, but that's Monday's Showdown slate at DraftKings. We got Southampton, Liverpool tomorrow. That cheat sheet is up, so I will be back at some point to do that one. We'll see if Salah is starting, but hey, final week of the regular season. Thanks for watching. Madam Zdroik at RotoZdroik again, rotowire.com. Check out all this good stuff. And yeah, I'll be back at some point doing Tuesday slate, and then we may have I think we got a 3-game slate on Saturday. I may be back with Ryan Belangi at some point, and then I'm getting pretty excited for final 10-game slate on Sunday. that should be a good time. But thanks for watching, and hopefully we can get some winnings. And hopefully, what was my favorite tournament lineup? What was I going with? Let's do that Dubravka. Let's do Dubravka. Let's do one Ramsdale or Dubravka. Let's do this is a goalkeeper slate. Let's do it. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you